These are my thoughts on the whole Destiny Mr. Girl situation and just streaming thing in general. I've started to realize more and more that it is a certain personality type that thrives in these spaces. There is a level of narcissism and self-centeredness and grandiosity that you have to have in order to be, I don't know how to describe it. I have a big problem, I feel resent towards people like Destiny and all these people who make their personal drama a source of content. That's not like a unique take. Because I think one of the reasons that Destiny is successful is because he appears to be very authentic. Like he honestly says what he's thinking, and he's very articulate, and so you can kind of get a very good picture of his clear thought process. But he then honestly thinks that him putting his personal issues out in the world as a form of content, that he's not paying a psychological price for that. I just don't believe that. I've listened to many different conversations with Destiny about like his childhood, and with Dr. K, he's had a long conversation with, and like one of the things that he talks about, his grandma would like get a dog every like 6 months and let it die or something.
Yeah, anything stick out?
Yeah, of course, some stuff does. I had a very strange relationship with my grandma. I spent a lot of time. Oh God, I swear to God, growing up, there's like just really weird shit. But so my grandma was.
Yeah, I believe that.
Okay, my grandma, but for the most part, my life is pretty good. Okay, my grandma is very fucking crazy.
I believe that too.
Okay, she had weird problems. She would buy a dog, and she would like kill it in like a year. And she did this like fucking 20 times. I don't know why. Where she'd like go to the pound, she'd get a dog, and she would carry it for about 6 to 12 months. And then she would say like, oh, it's sick, I need to go put it down, and I don't want to give it to somebody else because I think it might be hurt or whatever. And I remember that when I was pretty young, maybe around like 5th grade, I think she did this to 2 dogs that me and my little sister were like very attached to. I remember obviously being incredibly upset when that happened because they were like the 2 dogs that I liked the most. But then after that, I kind of stopped caring so much about each individual dog because I knew that it had like a 12-month timer on it, basically.
Yeah, that's interesting.
To pretend that that does not have a significant effect on your psychology, I think is a form of cope. And whether it's that specific incident or any number of incidents, it seems like Steven doesn't want to or is not capable of digging into his childhood and seeing how that affects him. And, you know, from my perspective, again, one of the things I learned in therapy is like I grew up in a household with a lot of conflict. I was the mediator. And so I know for a fact that I internalize external conflict, which is why I talk about politics and all this stuff, right? Because most people do not spend the amount of time that I do worrying about this stuff or caring about it. And so I know that I have a proclivity to do that. The permanent issue I face is, to what degree am I worried about these topics because I have a proclivity to worry about them, versus to what degree do I worry about them because we're in a genuinely bad position. And so it seems like Destiny and that whole crew are putting their drama and content, or drama and personal issues, out there in a way that's very unhealthy. And they know that. And Destiny in particular is smart enough to know that and does it anyway. And then also, you know, I read some of the Mr. Girl article and whatnot, and it just seems like Destiny cannot do any wrong, it appears, from his perspective, because, you know, when you spend all day, every day, rationalizing and arguing, you build up that muscle to the point where when you do genuine wrong, you're incapable of recognizing that. Plus, he couldn't, because if he recognized that he was doing wrong, and again, I don't know whether or not, I didn't read the whole Mr. Girl article and all that, but it certainly seems like a lot of people were engaging in silly, improprietary behavior, let's say. And, you know, the idea that you don't pay a price for that, I think, is silly. So that whole situation is strange. And there absolutely is an element of clout chasing and all that. And, you know, I think it's perfectly reasonable to want to talk to someone else, a different channel, to have a conversation and to put your ideas out there. But it can be done in an unhealthy way. And there's just something about, here's my rule of thumb, for better or worse. In order to be, because I think people need to be authentic. I think it's wrong to disassociate your beliefs and the ideas you're talking about from who you are as a person, which is why I'm willing to talk about, you know, stuff in therapy and my like personal issues and whatnot. But I don't think you should ever be talking about your personal issues. If you're currently going through them, you can mention like stuff like I'm currently going through this. But if you have a lot of personal, emotionally laden issues, it's not healthy to speak about it publicly, especially when it involves other people, right? Like I have a rule of thumb where it's like, you know, if I'm discussing something that is of emotional significance to me and it involves other people in my life, I'm not going to talk about it on a stream if the issue is still ongoing. It's like talking about someone you have an issue with behind their back but doing it publicly. That's a very weird thing. So, I'm happy to discuss, okay, I used to get in fights with my friends because I had a big issue of not being able to bring conflict up to them. And I could give an example. Like one of my friends would be playing a board game and he'd accuse me of cheating. And I'd get really pissed at that because it's like, are you joking? Like, we're playing a board game and you're actually going to look at me and accuse me of cheating. And if that happened yesterday, I wouldn't come on stream and bitch about it. And then, my friend could then see that and all that. It's like, you should not be talking about personal drama when it's still fresh and active. Because that to me is like, you're just farming that for views. And that's a very unhealthy thing that I think a narcissistic person does. And, we're all narcissistic to some degree, I think. I think that word is thrown around a lot, but I definitely think the whole, Mr. Girl Destiny thing, it's just unhealthy in general. And I do think Destiny did a lot of weird shit with, he's a serial person who sleeps around with women. And it's like, inevitably that's going to cause problems. It just is. Especially when you're a public figure and you can rationalize your way in and out of anything. So that's my opinion on that.